Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, good morning. It is Wednesday and it is 9 a.m. in Atlanta, Georgia, Eastern Daylight Time. So that means it's time for the Ageless Blueprint podcast. And I am Dr. Taylor. I am the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. But what I really am is I call myself an expert in stress. Is that 20-something years ago, we wrote a book called The Stress Connection. And it's because it said 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints or disorders. Now, back then, I didn't know that one quote that I say over and over again would lead me to this. Because when I started this thing called Ageless Blueprint, started a podcast, believe me, I didn't really know what I was doing, okay? And why did I call this the Ageless Blueprint? Well, I'm going to show you the Ageless Blueprint. And it took me a year and a half to really figure out what that really is. And the Ageless Blueprint is simple. And I'm going to show you right here. Let's go to the first slide. All right. So I talked about this switch. This is the blueprint. From the beginning of human civilization, and even in the animal kingdom, the only question that they ask is, am I safe or am I being threatened? That is the Ageless Blueprint, okay? Is that your body constantly asking you, is the environment safe or is it threatening? All right, so you have to decide. You decide whether or not the environment is safe or threatening, and it's all about your perception. But you only have one switch. It either is on or it's off. There is no neutral. Either you are feeling threatened or you are feeling safe. It's one or the other, all right? Now, here's the problem. Everything that you see, touch, smell, feel, and everything you think is a signal to your body to say, am I safe or am I threatened? And what you have to understand is that what I've been telling is that everything starts from stress. Is that when you feel safe, everything is fine. Your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. You're resting and you're digesting. And when I have gone on these safaris and things, you see that the animals just rest and digest all day long. They just eat and they rest, they sleep, whatever. But when a threat comes, they can run as faster than any human because they understand either I'm safe or I'm threatened. And they build up their safety, they build up their energy and everything. So when a threat comes, they're ready. All right. So that's how things are supposed to work. But we don't follow nature because these animals, they wake up and they move around when it's daylight and they sleep or whatever. And then the night predators, if that's their rhythm, then like the predators, they go out at night. So they get enough sleep. They follow, they eat what they're supposed to eat. They do all of the things and they follow the rhythm of nature. Our problem is that we have diverted from that blueprint. And that blueprint, that diversion is what's causing the stress. And here's the deal. You guys think that the divorce and that that your job, that your relationship, that's the stress. That is the stress that breaks the camel's back. What the real stress is how we have diverted away from our natural blueprint. And anytime you do that, your body sees that as a threat. It says, wow, I'm not getting the rest and digest signal. I'm getting the threat signal. Well, how do I give you how are you giving it the threat signal? By what you think. by how you don't follow the daily rhythm, where you stay up too late, you get up either too late or too early, you eat things that aren't natural. All of these things make it a threat. So I'm going to show you as many as I can get through the little subtle threats that you tell your body every day because you are sending it the wrong signal. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's go to the first. So I want you to see. Here's the other thing I want you to see. If you can turn the switch all on with the wrong signal, the threat signal, I'm going to give you some safety signals that you can tell your body. And how can you do it? By what you see, what you smell, what you think. These are ways that you can turn the switch off, because that's the key. People turn the switch on easily. You're turning the switch on and you don't even know you're turning the switch on. So that's what we're going to talk about. What turns the switch on? What turns it off? Because when I'm talking about hormones and estrogen and progesterone and all of that, it all starts from whether you're in the safety mode or whether you're in the threat mode. All right. And your body is always listening. It reads light. It hears the sounds. It's the movement, the pace, how fast you walk, how slowly you walk. All of those are signals. And those signals tell your body what is going on. And also you can look at those signals and you can tell how your body is adapting to all these things. So let's just look at this. All right, it reads light. Is it morning? Is it dark? Is it rhythm? Is it clear? Is it silent outside? The birds. I may get to this later on, but do you know that that it amplifies the sounds of birds? Because if their birds are singing, that means that the environment is safe. They're like the number one, sensory people. They're always looking out and seeing if there's a threat. And if you notice how when there's a thunderstorm or there's a storm coming, everything gets real quiet. That's because the birds know that there's a threat coming. So you have signals. So that is a signal that you can use to turn on the safety signal. I actually go on YouTube and say, hey, look, I want to hear bird sounds, because it tells your brain that things are safe. So if you wake up, stressed, listen to the birds. The birds will tell your brain that it's safe. So it's simple things like that that can really make a difference. So see, we are built for a world full of real cues. But what we do is we give it fake light, fake noise. We rush around. We are always feeling like we are behind, and that somebody's chasing us, that our finances are chasing us, our boss is chasing us, our spouse, our kids. All of those things are chasing us, making us rush and feel like we're threatened. And so we have to get rid of those signals. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, I can do it right here. All right, small signals can change the whole system. The body shifts first. Symptoms are often the late result, not the first event. So by the time you've gotten symptoms, you've already been exposed to bad light. You really want to get out and have the sunlight. The sunlight tells your brain it's time to wake up. It's time to get your body moving. It's time to digest food. It's time to do. So those are the signs that your body is looking for. When you're breathing fast, that tells your body there's a threat, because you're anxious, you're thinking anxious thoughts, you're breathing anxiously, and your heart beats anxiously. That's all because you are breathing fast. If you look at the NBA playoffs, those athletes at the foul line, because they want to be calm and have their muscle memory work, you always see them take a deep breath, and they visualize the basket, the ball going in the basket. So why do you do that? Because if you can control your thoughts and if you can control your breathing, then your heart rate will automatically slow down. So I always tell people, if you can control 2 out of the 3, if you can control your thoughts and if you can control your breathing, your heartbeat will automatically slow down. However, if your thoughts are racing and your breathing is fast, then your heartbeat is going to speed up. So that's why you get into these panic attacks. So you have to learn how to break that cycle. You have to learn how to slow down your breath. And that's what we talk about a lot, is slowing down your breath. That's what meditation is about, paying attention to your breath, breathing slowly. And we're going to get in some definite techniques that definitely turn that switch off, and how you can measure it and see it for yourself. So let me just show you a little thing. So you turn the switch on by turning on your sympathetic nervous system. You turn it off by turning off something called your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is what controls your rest and digest. It controls your digestion. It controls how you can sleep. It controls how you digest your food, all of these things. And there's certain things that you can do to turn your vagus nerve on. All right. And one of them is humming. Okay. If you can hum, sing, or chant, it actually, that vibration vibrates the vagus nerve and turns on your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. So why does that happen? Because when you take a long exhale, that tells your body you're safe. And then the sound can help the body calm down. So that humming vibrates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs from your brain all the way down, really throughout your whole abdomen and everything. So when you hum, it vibrates and it sends a frequency that tells the parasympathetic nervous system to turn on. So why would this be like this? Because see, here's what I'm talking about. This has passed down through the ages. I mean, through hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution. And whether you believe in evolution or not, this is all physics. This is all neurochemistry. So it's just saying that this is how the body was built. And so we were built for singing and chanting together. In the ancient times or really in the, early on, people would go around campfires and they would sing and chant, and it calms people down. People who sing in a choir, it's calming because you are singing and chanting and humming and you have a group of people. We are built for that. But what now we're isolated, we're silenced, we have headphones on. We don't have any of this community. And this community where we chant and we sing songs, we're all in unison. That tells your body that you're a part of the tribe. Okay. And that's why we're feeling so lonely because of COVID, because we are built to be in tribes. That's why that's why I'm trying to get you in the Ageless Blueprint community. Subscribe to the channel. We like to be a part of tribes. And so when you are isolated, it tells your body that, hey, you're in danger, because, in prehistoric times, whatever, is that if you were by yourself, you were exposed to any predators. If you were in a group, you had more safety because you were in a group and you could fight off any group of predators. So you always have to think, hey, where did I evolve from? Was I always at this in this technological age? No, this technology is really taking us away from our blueprint. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. And so we need to really look at this. All right, so let's look at this one. And here's another interesting thing. So we are built to walk. We are built to move. We are built to be standing, not sitting, because you have to think gravity is always pushing downward. So if you're standing or sitting, your blood is pooling downward. You don't have a heart pump in your feet, but you do have your calf muscles. And when your calves squeeze or whatever, then it's squeezing blood back to the heart. So that's why it is really almost a medical necessity for you to stand up every 45 minutes, because every 45 minutes, they figured this out, these neurophysicists and all of this, is that blood pooling starts to increase your risk of clotting, and your body sees it as a stressor because it says we're not getting enough blood to the heart. So, and then also you're not clearing what we call your lymphatics. So sitting more than 10 hours a day is what people do on average, because you sit going to your office, you sit while you're in your office, you sit going home from the office, you sit eating dinner, you sit watching TV. So we're sitters, we're not walkers. We were built to walk and we sit. So that becomes a stressor because we are diverting from the blueprint. So I would encourage you, and I'm actually building a course where we can change our habits. And I want us to do this together, because I used to wonder, why do all of my cortisol testing, why is everybody stressed? Not everybody grew up in a bad home, because I'm seeing people, kids who are teenagers, their cortisol curves are showing that they have been under chronic stress. Well, these are chronic stressors that you're doing every day or not doing every day that is causing that stress. And then you add on schoolwork and relationships. That's why everybody is stressed. And so it's important to get rid of the big stressors, but these are cheap stressors. Standing up doesn't cost you anything. Okay. Humming doesn't cost you anything. Okay. Listening to the birds don't cost you anything, but they can cost you a lot in your physiology and your stress response. And that's the key, is how do you turn that switch off? And these are some of the small things that you can do to do that. Am I starting to make sense, Rebel?
Most definitely. I mean, I totally relate to this because of the 12 to 15 hours a day that I sit working.
Yeah, and your body sees that as a stressor. You're not moving things around. Your joints are getting stiff. You're not hydrating, because you have to move around to hydrate your joints and things. So these are things that I am learning. I know about the major stressors and what it can do, but then I finally realized, no, this is why everybody is stressed, because we're so out of balance for what we should be doing. All right. So walking generates electricity. People are worried about osteoporosis and things like that. But when your body is stressed, it's like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, actually walking, and every time your heel hits that pavement, it is sending a little electrical charge to your bone to say, hey, look, we are walking. We need your bones to be, we need our bones to be strong. So it's building your calf muscles, it's building your bones, and it actually rewires your brain, that your brain says that, hey, look, we've got things to do. This guy's walking around. Is he looking for food? What's going on? So it is important that we move. And I'll tell, well, it comes to, and it's not just moving on a treadmill in a gym, because then you're under artificial light, all of these things. Walking 10 minutes out in nature in bright sunlight can do more for you than 30 minutes of treadmill walking, because you're getting so many other benefits from being out in the sun, the vitamin D, all of that stuff. So, and even bare feet on the ground. I've started wearing these flat shoes because here, as you get older, I'm 65, as you get older, you start to lose your sense of balance. The reason why is that we're on these shoes that never let our feet actually contact the ground. And so as you get older, everybody's worried about falling. Everybody's worried about osteoporosis. Well, you walk, and if you walk barefoot, or either you walk on uneven ground, so that your body is constantly having to rebalance itself. If you always walk on flat surfaces, you're not going to be able to catch yourself if you fall. So just walking in a different way will help you. Okay. All right. The other thing is that we wake up. Waking up is a stress test. Okay. In the morning, if you ever done a cortisol test, you should have your highest cortisol in the morning. Now, getting that cortisol up to wake you up is a stress. Okay. But it should be that it's a natural thing, because the sunlight should wake you up. But we wake up with alarms and all of these things, and your body wakes up under a load. Stress hormones rise fast. Morning blood is thicker too. So we need to drink water first and start slower. Okay. You can't get up and rush out of the house and all that. You're starting your day off in a sympathetic drive. Your body is trying to get you moving. It's trying to slowly get you up to wake up, not by an alarm. So slow wake up is with sunrise. When I would go to another country, you would see that these people get up and walk at sunrise. They wake up, they start walking, they walk to work, they walk to the market, they walk. And these people, they're not obese, they're healthy. They don't have they're not walking around with earbuds in, but they wake up based on sunlight. And then when the sun goes down, they go in the house and they go to sleep. All right. And so the other thing is, you want to drink water first, because you have not had any water for 6-8 hours. And like your back and your joints, they need that moisture. They need water. You're 70% water. So you need to make sure you have the water first before you have your coffee, because coffee is dehydrating. So always drink the water first, because your blood is thicker. At least it's less likely you have stroke and blood clots from you sitting all day the day before. So just understand that. Wake up slower. And it's even another reason why you should wake up slowly and not rush out the house or rush to any decisions. All right. So we talked about getting up and getting morning light. So morning light sets tomorrow's night. So if you don't wake up with the light and have some light early in the morning, then your body doesn't know when to go to sleep. So you want to go outside in the first 2 hours after you wake up, because 16 hours later, your body is going to say, okay, I know what to do. It's 16 hours later, it's time to go to sleep. All right. But if your body doesn't see any morning light, it doesn't know when to turn the lights off at night. Your body is always reading signals. That signal of sunlight tells it, okay, it's time to be productive. And then it knows 16 hours later, it's time to rest and digest. But what happens with us? We're built for being outside at dawn, but we have indoor light all morning. And now people are working from home, and they may stay in their PJs and all this until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then maybe they go outside to get the mail. So this working from home, yeah, is great, it's convenient, but you need to take advantage of working from home to say, okay, I'm working from home, I'm going to get up at dawn or around dawn, and I'm going to go outside before I start working. Now you have the privilege of being able to wake up. To get up every 45 minutes and stop sitting. Now, don't necessarily get up every 45 minutes and go to the refrigerator and eat, but you have the privilege, you have the ability working from home to actually implement these things. So I want you to be aware of it, so that if you are working from home, you don't add to your stress. The working from home is supposed to relieve your stress. So you don't want to add to your stress by doing or not doing these habits. All right. All right, next slide. This is another thing that's really interesting. And again, this is all scientifically based. It's all about physics and neuroscience, because now that they can, the imaging is so much better, they can see what part of the brain lights up and what doesn't light up when you do certain things. So they've shown that if you do 6 breaths per minute, 10 seconds per breath, the body starts to shift out of fight or flight. Okay. So slow rhythmic breath in motion, that is what your body is used to when it's safe. When you're threatened, you're going to breathe faster. So even when you start to feel yourself breathing faster, that's why I'm talking about these athletes. You can break that cycle. Just slow your breathing down. Okay. I've learned that in the gym. You think, okay, if you're running hard, whatever, you got as soon as possible, slow your breathing down. And that lets your parasympathetic nervous system come back online. All right. Now, they have shown that most standard prayers make you breathe at a 6 breaths per minute, or 10 seconds per breath. Okay. And they made examples of all of these like ancient prayers, and they have that rhythm where you are going to breathe every 10 seconds. And that's one of the powers of prayers, is that it makes you breathe at a slower rate. Our Father, which art in heaven. So that's the thing about, one of the things that prayer can do, just to turn off the switch. No matter what religion you are, even if you have any kind of meditation or whatever that causes you to breathe in a rhythmic fashion, where the slower the exhale, the more your body sees the signal that we are safe. So if you take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out, you'll see that your heart rate starts to slow down. And when your heart rate slows down, now you're not in this sympathetic mode, because when you're in the sympathetic mode, the front part of your brain that makes good decisions turns off, and you're totally going by reflex. And that's why people react and blow off steam and say things that they don't mean, is because they've turned off their executive function that filters out what they say and what they do and what they think. And if you calm yourself down, you're able to think more reasonably and not only reactively. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Almost to our break. All right. Walking actually regrows the memory center. So too little walking can shrink a part of the brain you need. So navigating on real ground every day actually makes your brain recalibrate itself. There's also a trick you can do. If you walk backwards, that makes your brain recalibrate, because Your brain doesn't do any work for you to walk. It already subconsciously, your body knows how to walk. It doesn't have to think, it doesn't have to do anything. But when you break the pattern, your brain has to reorganize itself. And that's what you want. That's how you keep your brain. That's why you learn different languages. That's why we did ballroom dancing, because it was making our feet do something that it doesn't necessarily do. So simple as walking backwards can help you. Actually, walking up steps walking on any kind of uneven ground, your hippocampus has to now start to recalibrate spatial orientation, and that helps the brain to grow. When you do something over and over again, your brain doesn't have to work. Okay, it doesn't have to work at all. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so it doesn't have to work at all. That's what you want to do. You want your brain to grow. You don't want it to deteriorate. So that's why, as you get older, you tend to do less. You tend to sit in the house. And that's not what you want. You got to get out. You got to get on uneven ground. Don't just stay on flat surfaces. Go out in the park. Go on the beach. You know how the beach, the sand makes you walk unevenly. That is good for you. That allows your brain to remember, how do I catch myself when I'm off balance? When you're never off balance, your brain doesn't know how to correct itself. All right. So you have to challenge your brain. Now, I'm going through these really quickly, but it's about 50 different things you can do to turn the switch off. And I'm creating a course and an app. I already have it, how you can understand this and incorporate it into your life. And I want to have like a 1 week challenge that we try and do one of these things for the whole week. And I tell you how important it is, because I'm just telling you the surface of what it does for you. But doing these things almost affect everything. It affects your hormones. It affects your immune system, your digestive system, just by turning the switch off. All right. This is even more interesting. Getting under the shade of a tree feeds the mitochondria, and the mitochondria is what gives you energy. So harsh light is a hidden stress most people never think about. Get outside, but use tree shade when you can, because it actually filters out the bad UV light, and it actually is giving you red light. And they said that this is the fact that people don't understand this has birthed a whole new industry of red light therapy. That if you just sat outside and you had some shade from the tree, that you would actually be getting natural red light that is better than any kind of red light therapy that you can do. So it actually increases your mitochondria, makes you grow more mitochondria, and makes those mitochondria actually produce energy. So that's why you get energy from the sun. You go outside, you feel better. The sun can help heal you. When they had some outbreaks, what is it, the black fever or whatever, if they had people outside, or even with tuberculosis, they found that if they treated people outside, because the hospitals were full, the people who were treated outside, the tuberculosis got better quicker, because the sunlight helped to heal. It helped to bring energy so that they could heal, so the immune system could work. So also it turned the switch off. So they were getting fresh air, they were getting sunlight, they were getting all of these things to help their parasympathetic nervous system turn on so that they could heal. So, all right. So one more, and then we're going to go to the break. Now, this is really interesting. This is, anybody who has cancer or they are worried about cancer, forced air transmits immune surveillance. Too much indoor air is hidden stress. Get into trees when you can. Breathe real outdoor air. Forest and plant air actually has these things called phytonicides. They are plant chemicals in forest air. They actually increase natural killer cell activity. And here's what natural killer cells do. Natural killer cells go out every night and they look for potential cancer cells. All right, that's why sleep is so important, is because when you're sleeping, your immune system is at work. Your brain is always at work. It's always looking at signals. But if you can get under a canopy of trees, and that's why you want to go out to the park, you get under a canopy of trees. If you stay there for 30 minutes, the natural killer cell activity increases for 30 days. The 30 days. And I'm telling you, this is all science. This is amazing stuff that I'm learning because I wanted to be an expert in stress. And these are simple things. This is crazy. Is that you can sit under the tree and you can increase your immune system by increasing natural killer cells. And this is the information that people know. People think that they're a victim of their circumstances. They're a victim of what's going on around them. No, you are not a victim. You can control this, okay? And you can control it. People try to control it by willpower. No, you can control it by what you do every day. You have to see that these little things are weighing you down every single day. So now when something big comes along, you're already spent. And this is what I see. And this finally explains why so many people have these abnormal cortisol curves. So anyway, let's go to break. Let's go to break and we'll be right back. All right.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk 4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right, we're back. We're back. Rebel, do we have any questions yet? Or if not, I'll just keep going.
We actually do.
Okay,
Let's
great.
see. As usual, we have a good bit of questions. Some of them have answered along the way, but let's just recap.
Okay.
Does everyone run on the same clock hours?
Yes. The sun is, so, here's what I'm learning. There's certain things that are set, like gravity, there's certain things that are set. It's called a circadian rhythm. That means you live by the sun, okay? When the sun is up, that's when you should be eating. That's when you should be, I'll tell you, a part of this app, I'm going to give you a daily schedule, what your ACEs blueprint really should be, when you should eat, what you should do after you eat, all of this stuff. Yeah. So everybody should be running on the same clock. Okay. It's based on the sun. When the sun goes down, we should be resting and we should be relaxing. We should be doing like the other animals. Okay. We are mammals and that's what the mammals do. Okay. So yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, we all have the same ageless blueprint. And again, I didn't know what I was saying when I came up with this title, but the ACEs blueprint is following your circadian rhythm. And that's what it's actually called chronobiology. So it's biology based on time. That's a whole subject matter. Chronobiology. How does our biology fit with the chronology of a 24-hour day? All right. So another question.
Next question. Can we adjust the time we function at the best hours?
Yeah, well, here's what I'll tell you what I do. I get up usually at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That's just when I'm most creative and I can do things. And so I have a sun lamp that it gives me full broad spectrum sunlight. And I sit here, it's right here. And so when I wake up and I'm at the computer, I turn on the sun lamp. So that kind of adjusts to my schedule. So now I turn this on at 4 or 5 o'clock, and at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I'm sleepy. So I'm trying to set my circadian rhythm. Believe me, as I learn this, I'm trying to change my, habits too. That's why I want to create a little course and everything so that, we can have a community and we try and turn this switch off together. So, all right, next question.
Do we need to practice breathing so we will be better in an emergency?
Exactly. That's why I started meditating. So again, we wrote the book, The Stress Connection, and then I started to want to know, how do we disconnect from stress? Hey, I didn't meditate until a year and a half ago, and now I don't miss it. And in the course, we're going to talk about using this Muse headband to teach you how to meditate. And yes, I have learned that. Hey, before I get on this podcast, I meditate, and right before I take some deep breaths, because I want to turn my executive function on. I need to be able to think. I need to be able to process. So I have to try and calm my nervous system down. And again, you only have an on switch and an off switch. There's no neutral. Either you're in threat mode or you're in safety mode. And when you feel that threat, you have to insert one of these safety signals. Okay. Is it breathing? Am I going to go outside? Am I going to walk barefoot? Am I going to listen to the birds? You've got to know, hey, how do I intervene? How do I turn that switch off? All right. And then I'll tell you, I have an app called Heart Rate Variability. Heart rate variability tells you second to second, are you on or off? Because it's measuring the distance between each heartbeat. And so if you are sympathetic, the heartbeats get closer together. If you're parasympathetic, they get further apart. And you look at heart rate variability, every second it's changing. Okay. Because if I do this, my body has to adjust to my hand being in the air. It has to turn on the switch. It says, hey, he moved. It has to adjust, and then it turns the switch off. So, okay, he's just sitting there. It's no threat. All right. So it's constantly turning on, turning off. But when it's constantly on, it's detrimental. It's detrimental to your health. All right. So go ahead. So that's why maybe the next one, or I'm going to have a YouTube video to show you how you can measure this. With heart rate variability, you can tell whether or not your system is on or off. Is it majority of the time, is it on or is it off? And then I have a metabolic blueprint app that is going to help us on a week-to-week basis make a change. And then every day, I'm going to tell you all the important things that it's doing for you, so that it really is in your mind that this is something that I need to do and that I need to make a habit of it, because habits take time. So you can look at the heart rate variability and know something right then and there. And in the app that we have, it's like if we see your sympathetic is on, we tell you, hey, look, here's some deep breathing techniques. Here's some other things you can do. So yeah, I'm trying to make it where we can really implement this stuff. And it's not just a podcast that you watch one time. No, we're going to implement this, because this is an epidemic. Everybody is stressed and they don't know how to turn the switch off. So anyway, another question.
Real quick, if they go to your All My Links, don't they have a thing about the Muse that they can look more
Yes.
into?
Yeah, they do. And I would highly recommend it. If you tried meditation and you're like, I don't know if this works, it really helps you to know when your brain is calm. It tells you whether or not you're in something called an alpha mode. Alpha. Alpha brain waves are very organized, and they're not scattered at all. When you are anxious, you are in a beta state. Beta means that your thoughts are fragmented, and that's what makes you anxious, because you can't concentrate. That's what ADHD is all about. Okay, it's not a description of I can't focus. It's when you're in a beta wave state, you can't focus. So if you can learn to meditate, it's going to help you with your so-called ADHD. So yes, I would highly recommend that, because it taught me how to meditate when I was saying, I don't know if this works. Now I swear by it. Okay. All right. So we'll go to a few more slides and then we'll go from there. This is very important. Before symptoms, a message gets sent. So one early message is corticotropin releasing hormone. So whenever your body, or whenever you think there's a stress, this corticotropin releasing hormone, it gets the whole cascade going. It tells your body, get ready to run or fight. And it's getting ready for short bursts of demand. It thinks you're an animal, having to run away from a predator. But this constant low grade activation is making it where it's always getting ready for a short burst. So that means any long term issues are shut down, because energy moves towards survival and repair can wait. Okay, so your rest and digest system, it gets turned off, and now your brain is just a constant state of readiness. That's what ADHD is about, because you're constantly ready. You're looking all around. You can't focus on anything because you don't know where the threat is coming from, because the threat is all in your head, or it's all due to a signal that you're giving your brain that you are not aware of. So that's what I'm trying to get across, is that whenever your body sees a threat, it turns on that one same signal. It has no, it doesn't have a minor threat signal. It has threat, no threat. All right. So even a little minor threat of, I don't know, I can't find my keys or whatever, cortisol control for releasing hormone kicks in. All right. Now it turns off your executive function because you're worried that you're not going to get to work on time. So now you can't think of where your keys are. So, but if you calm down, and what I've learned is that if I calm down and just forget about it, suddenly they show up. Okay, is that the harder I try to find them, the less likely I'm going to find them. If I just say forget it, all of a sudden I'm walking by and like, there's my keys. You know what? That's because I calmed down, my executive function can work again, and now I can remember where my keys are now. But here's the problem, because women are going to say, but I can't remember my keys. That's because cortisol releasing hormone started, and then that screwed up your hormones. And then your hormones are causing you to not be able to sleep because you don't have enough progesterone and all those things. So I've already told you the downstream things that stress will do: screw up your hormones, screw up your immune system. I'm trying to show you upstream, where is it coming from? And this is what you have to turn off, or immediately when it turns on, really know how to turn it off. All right. Because like I said, it's either on or it's off. There is no halfway. There is no, I'm kind of stressed. No, you're either threatened or you're safe. All right. And this is why I was telling you, ovulation needs safety. So if your body is seeing there's a threat, it says we can't be reproducing right now. So it stops ovulation. And without ovulation, progesterone often stays weak. It does stay weak. So that's why these are always matched. When I see low progesterone, I'm always looking for cortisol. Okay, because it started there. All right. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. If you're having abnormal cycles at 13, it's not because, it may not be because of your stress, like at school or whatever, but you've been living in stress. And especially these kids now, they never go outside. We used to go outside and play. They stay in and they do video games, and then they play with their friends virtually. Okay, so, and then they're isolated, so they're sitting there by themselves in the in the basement or whatever. So they're not getting any sunlight, none of that. And so now their hormones are out of whack because they're not getting those signals from birth. Okay, from being 2 years old, and so now it's screwing up their reproductive system. All right. The body is always looking for signs of safety. There's not one big fix. See, these small repeated cues can help move the switch. So steady safety cues all day. So here's what you can do just to try and get your life started out right. Okay, don't wake up to an alarm. Try as best, wake up to morning sun or a sun lamp or something. Okay, you can hear the birds. Let me tell you something cool about birds. Since the beginning, since every skull that they have ever gotten from all these, buried ruins that they've dug up, that the distance between the ear canal and the eardrum is it's like 2.3 centimeters. And it just so happens that the reason why you can hear birds and they can be far away is that the sound of birds automatically amplifies like 2 to 3 times in the ear, just because of the distance of the ear canal. And that is one constant that is in all civilizations ever since the beginning of human civilization, because that frequency of the birds singing, it gets amplified. You know why? Because the birds are trying to tell you that it's safe, or it's trying to tell you that it's not safe. So that's why you know that you're a part of nature, when your body is built to get signals from nature. All right. So the further we get away from nature, the more stressed we're going to be and the sicker we're going to be. The more we can connect with these signals that nature is trying to give us, the sunlight, when to eat, when to listen to birds, get bare feet, these Nike shoes that are like, have soles this thick, they're comfortable, but they're taking us away from nature. Slowing down your breathing, walking, stretching, swaying, moving every joint. You want air. You want the trees to give you natural killer cells, so it boosts your immune system. Looking far off. Now, here, me with these glasses and focus right here, my eyes are strained. You actually need to go outside and look at the horizon. It allows your eyes to rest. You look up at the morning sky, or the night sky, and see all of the stars, and the sense of awe that you see how big the universe is and how wonderful it is. That feeling of awe, you know what that turns on? Your parasympathetic nervous system. Because people used to sit and look at the night sky by a fire, singing, humming, all of those things. I mean, that's the ageless blueprint. And what has happened is we have evolved into this type of person, our people, our civilization, faster than our body can adapt. And so that stresses the body out. So anyway, I was trying to see how much time we got. We got about 4 or 5 minutes. So this is what we want to do in our school course that I'm developing, is how, and I tell you, there's about 40 or 50 other things that you can do. And so you may not be able to do all of these, but you should be able to do 5 or 6, or just say, hey, let me cut out this one that I've been doing. Let me stop waking up to an alarm. Let me get a sun lamp or whatever. Let me make sure I don't rush out of the house. Let me tell you another thing. Don't make any decisions the first 30 minutes when you wake up. Why? Because your frontal lobe, your executive branch, hasn't turned on. So if you go to the phone and you see an email, you're more than likely going to react to that email in the first 30 minutes when you wake up. So please don't wake up and look at the phone, because that's going to immediately put you into a reactionary stage, and you're automatically going to turn that switch on to threat, because all kinds of things show up in the morning. So don't even look at it until your executive function is turned on 30 minutes after you wake up. All right? Because I won't just be on the lookout for when we start this course, because I think it's going to really be exciting. I'm excited about it because this is new information, and really most of this information has just been discovered in the last 15 to 20 years, because that's when they had the science that could really filter this out. So this is kind of really new stress physiology, but I think it's very important because this is something you can control, and it doesn't cost you any money. It just costs you understanding and awareness of what you're doing and how you can change how your body is interpreting signals in the environment. So do we have any questions? I got like 2 minutes left, and I have some more of this, but I'm actually want to make a long form YouTube video and really get into this and talk about how we can change this on a moment by moment or a daily basis, and how we can make some permanent changes. Because I think this is the key to the stress disconnection. And if we can disconnect from stress, that'll help end hormone confusion, because this is where the hormone confusion begins, is being able to turn off that threat or fight or flight switch. All right. So any questions, Rebel?
The next question, is this calming thing a thing we need to put into habit?
Yes, and that's what I want to try and help people do, and help myself do it, is to make a habit out of this, that that it gets into our subconscious, because whatever thing that we're doing in the morning or whatever, it is a subconscious program that we have been just doing over and over again. So your body doesn't even think about it. It just does it. So in order to change that, you have to keep repeating an action so that you can change. We talk about rewiring your brain, rewiring your subconscious so that it doesn't have all these automatic movements or automatic things that it does, is that you have some control over what you think, what you feel, what you hear. So that's the goal of that. All right. So another question.
Next question, how long would it take people to get this into their natural way of doing things?
They say a habit takes 30 days. And so what I want to try and do is introduce a habit once a week. And maybe we do it once a month, but that'll just take too long. So you'll have to figure out, which habit do I want to incorporate? And then what I want in the app, it's going to have like every week, it'll show you a way to turn off the switch. Why is it important? Because again, I'm just giving you the surface, is that most of these changes, they change everything. They change how your immune system works. They change how you eat. It's just small little changes. Because like you said, when you turn the switch on and off, you're not turning on one thing, you're turning on a whole cascade of things. So that's why it's so important to know how to turn the switch off and to know when you turn the switch on so that you can stop turning the switch on. All right. So I know we're out of time now. And so, hey, look, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, go to our, we'll just go to all of my links, and I'm going to have the app there. Now, there's going to be a small charge to that, but believe me, I believe it's worth it. It's better than taking, a bunch of sleeping pills and Vyvanse and Adderall and all that stuff. You can control the signals that your body gets, and you can determine whether or not you're safe or whether or not you're being threatened. So anyway, we'll see you next week. I hope this helps someone to decrease their stress, or disconnect their stress. So see you next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.